2023. Call this regular meeting of the Kingsville Independent School District to order. We'll have roll call. Joe Morales. Here. Martine Chapa. David Garcia. Here. Joseph Reese. Here. Jim Blusing. Here. Donna Salinas. Here. Brian Coupal is here. Let the record show there is a quorum of board members present that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 553, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move now to the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag and pledge allegiance to thee, and with one state under God, one nation. All right, this meeting is being live video streamed. And we move now to item number 4, which is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion made by Ms. Salinas. Second. Seconded by Mr. Ruiz. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 5, public participation. Ms. Pettis, do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
No, sir.
We move now to item number 6. Communication from administration. Item 6A is the superintendent's update. Dr. Pettis.
Thank you. I would like to take a few minutes, first of all, to thank Wish for Wheels program and the 1.5 company for donating bikes and helmets to every single one of our second grade students. It was such a beautiful event. Students were saying they had never had a bike before. They were saying this was like heaven. One of the students said, I believe that was a student from Harvey. I want to thank our parent and involvement and community outreach program, Mr. Segovia, Dr. Sandoval, Margie Galindo, everybody and all the principals who helped coordinate this fantastic event. So thank you all so much. Okay, another group we were going to highlight today, but we postponed it because of the rain. We had some students display artwork at the Dallas Museum of Art, and we really want to showcase their artwork, but we didn't want it to get messed up in the rain yesterday, so we couldn't transport their big canvases. So we're going to do that at the December meeting. However, we do have some special guests here. They're special readers, and I would like to call them up at this time. So let's see. We're going to call first Esme Hall from Gillette, and that's Miss Perkins' student. Miss Golding is going to come up here as well. And then our student Israel Pettis from Harrell, and Miss Vasquez from Harrell Elementary teacher will be up here as well. So we're very proud of these students and these teachers. Good evening.
Good evening, board members, board president Coupal, Dr. Pettis. We are super excited to have our district literacy coach here to introduce some of our teachers who are amazing. So here's Ms. Golding.
Hi, good evening. So the new district initiative this year, we've been really working hard to have teachers do small groups and really work on interventions with students in those small groups.
You're good.
And so we've been doing a lot of blocks in CNI, we've been seeing a lot of great things in some classrooms, and so we really wanted to highlight 2 of our teachers that we've seen at secondary and elementary. So first I have Ms. Perkins. Oh, sorry. Oh, we'll go with Ms. Vasquez first.
Okay. Hello.
I'm Ms. Watkins. I've been teaching kindergarten for 20 years, and today we are highlighting my student Israel Bettis. Israel Bettis. Israel Bettis has shown a lot of maturity this year, coming into kindergarten. I know we had a rough start in the beginning of the school year, but he has shown so much growth in the first 9 weeks and continuing in within the second 9 weeks. Growth within his vocabulary, he's talking more, expressing himself more, growth with his academics. He loves math. He's good at math. He will shoot stuff out with me to, like today, for example, we were talking about ways to make a number and he was there back and forth. 5 and 4 make 9. So yes, he's shown a lot of growth and I'm very proud of him. He's grown with his letters and sounds. In the beginning, he knew about maybe 10 letter sounds. Now he knows all of them.
All right.
We are moving into decoding and blending words to build words, and he's been picking that up very good as well. So I'm very proud of Israel for all his growth that he has done.
Would he like to say anything, Israel? You want to say? Hear from him. He's a kinder student at Harold.
We do math.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
And then next we have Ms. Perkins. It's really important to note that in secondary, a lot of times teachers are hesitant to do small group because they have that short class period. But every time I walk into Ms. Perkins' classroom, she's always doing small group work and she's rolling around to all the different stations and talking to all the kids. And so I just really appreciate all of her hard work that she does. And so here's Ms. Perkins.
Hello. Okay, so I have with me Esme Hall, and she comes from Florida, so she's not a Texan by right. I'm not gonna hold that against her. Sorry. She came to me struggling. She could tell you herself, and she will. She came struggling, but with hard work, a lot of dedication, maybe a couple of tears. Maybe, that's a maybe. A lot of hesitation. She's grown extremely over the last, what are we at, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, it's a lot of weeks. So, well, I was hoping you counted, kids count. So, she is part of my special population, and over this time in my classroom, she has come a long way. So I know that for a fact, small group does work, even if it is difficult to do in the setting for secondary. Esme, would you like to speak?
Yeah, sure.
Come on.
Ms. Perkins helped a lot with my education. Back in Florida, when I was going to Silver Sands, our teacher would tell us to read the story and figure it out. We just have to read it, and as soon as the questions are right, I was getting a D. I was a D or a very low C. I was failing all the time. I come here and she's telling us that these foldable thingies. I'm very hesitant with it. I was like, oh, how can I do this? But it got, like, the way she does it, it catches my attention because, we have it all sorted out, and then I didn't even know what annotation was before we got here. She told me to work with a partner and annotate the text. I was like, what? Like, the partner literally had to explain it to me. But now gone from getting D's and low C's to B's and A's. I'm actually on honor roll now. I think that Ms. Perkins helped a lot, and I don't think I would have been able to actually engage myself into some of the classes that I don't like without actually have help. Like, she tried to help me with math. That book was confusing.
We'll get Israel over here to help.
But I think I have progressed a lot. Seeing little D's and always being disappointed in myself, thinking I could do better, to actually having someone who would help me engage in what I was reading in the text and
the way her classroom runs is just funny, and you can hear, like, you walk in there, especially our class, you hear giggles out throughout the classroom. And she's very patient with us too. She's not yelling at us like our last teacher, like my last teacher would. She would tell you to shut up and sit down. She can't even say shut up and say attention. She literally said that this morning.
Well, thank you so much. We are so, so proud of you. Yeah, can y'all come up here so we can take a picture with you? Go here.
Would the principals come up here?
Thank you so much. We are excited about the work that our teachers are doing and our students as well. Thank you so much.
The next thing we're gonna do is, I'd like to call up Ms. Gloria Taylor from Communities in Schools. Good news.
Good news, some exciting news, not exciting as that, because Israel and Esme took the show. Good evening, President Kupal, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pettit, leadership and community. I am excited to share with you an opportunity that we have brought to our pantry that we share with KISD. I would like to bring up our funders to tell a little bit more, very short, very quick. We know you guys have a full agenda, but we are very, very excited. So please help me welcome from Driscoll Health Plan, Miguel Lopez and Delia Garza. Go ahead, share the good news.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. On behalf of the Driscoll Health Plan, we are super proud and happy to be a part of this program. CIS does great work in the community, but we are here to present a check of $7,000 to support the food pantry and food disparities throughout the community, and hopefully help and bring against the community in Kingsville.
Awesome.
They're also going to do some parent education. So we'll be able to, our dream was to really have the parents come to the food pantry, not only to pick up food, but to get the education. And with that funding, we're going to be able to buy different sort of products that the food bank where we get our food from doesn't necessarily have in stock. So it's a win-win situation for CIS and KISD food pantry. So we would like a picture, please.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, sir, I'm glad you're going to join us.
And she wore black and gold.
I did, but I got mayonnaise on it. So we can raise the check a little bit. Right here. There you go. Filling the spot. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pettit. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All appreciate it. Thank you for it.
Thank you very much.
Come go around. Sir, thank you. No, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you very much to all the CIS staff also for all their support.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, now we're gonna have an update on our attendance reporting, and we're gonna have Mr. Eric Gonzalez, our truant officer, to come up here and present.
President Dr. Perez, trustees, our enrollment has remained pretty steady, pretty happy about that. HMK has been at 929. Gillette 462. Harvey 521, Harold 307, and Bettis 387. Right now, Bettis and Gillette are the highest they've been this year. So the kids are enrolled, they're staying, they're coming in from other areas, so that's good news right now. Our attendance on the next slide. We've been able to remain in the 90s this whole year. The elementary and the junior high have been doing really well at the high school. We're addressing it with the whole staff. Dr. Williams and I have met. We're coming up with strategies to combat the 90%. And as you can see, HMK is 90%, Gillette is 93, Harold is 93, Harvey is 94, and Bettis is 93. And that's a culmination of a lot of incentives, meeting with parents, calling parents, finding attendance contracts. So we're in a good place moving forward to the spring. I want to use the word I'm excited about it, but it's tough to say excited, especially when you're dealing with attendance and things can happen. These past 3-4 weeks, we were dealing with stomach bugs, stomach issues, flu, meeting with Dr. Williams. She let us know that the high school was taking it pretty hard these last couple of weeks. Before them, it was the elementaries who were getting hit, but we've been able to remain there. Compared to last year at the same time, we were at 92%, and last year we were at 89%. So we're working. Everybody's working together. CIS, clerks, staff, everybody just all hands on deck right now, and we're doing everything we can. Of course, the main thing is communication with parents, let them know that the kids have to be in school and not taking the foot off the gas pedal, and just keep calling. On the next slide is our truancy court filing. On our last time I presented, we had filed 28 cases. We filed 11 more since then at the high school at Judge Lee's. Of course, where it says Judge Gonzalez at HMK, that was a total because at Judge Gonzalez we filed 16, and at Judge Lee we filed 12. So, we filed 11 more with Judge Lee. We do have court tomorrow, and we met up with Judge Lee starting at 9 o'clock. I think some staff members from the high school will be there with me as support. One of the things that they're asking is for a plan of action. So we are preparing a plan of action. So whenever we show up to court and the judge goes, okay, what do you want, accomplished? We want the young man to attend tutoring. We want him to go to Bright Room Fridays. We want him to make up the certain hours. And he puts a stamp on it and go, by the way, you need to do community service or whatever he decides is good. So right there, we're moving forward. Again, I don't want to use the word excited, but if we can do these right now, we're way ahead from last year. I know there was a question also about last year and where we had filed. Last year, we filed with Judge Gonzalez, Judge Gutierrez, Judge Barrera, and Judge Carrillo. But talking about Gillette, we do have we have filed 6 at Gillette. One of them already we met with Judge Barrera because he took over for Judge Gutierrez that day. So he did a good job, and it's hard for me to say Judge did a good job, but he did well. And we have 5 coming up. Harvey, we have those hopefully they haven't gotten scheduled, but hopefully they'll be scheduled soon. Harold, we have them on Thursday. So Wednesday tomorrow we got the high school. Harold, we meet with the judge on Thursday. And Bettis, we have had that court. The parent has failed to show up. And I mean, this is, I hope I'm not saying too much, but I mean, parent, there been a little bit more pressure on the parent. But she has failed to show up. Next question, next slide. These are some of the things that the elementary schools are doing. Harvey Elementary, had a dance for the kids that had perfect attendance for the first time. We had a slide of Mr. Savino dancing too, but that one's put this one on there. Also, of course, the students are enjoying an ice cream whenever like a class, the whole second grade shows up, they get a treat. And again, I think I said it last year where, you want the kids saying, everybody show up, so they have been doing that. Next slide. At Bettis Elementary, I put this young man there just because he had a nice smile too. So Bettis Elementary incentives, perfect attendance during the week for Miss Gonzalez fifth grade class. Again, a week ago, all of fifth grade showed up. So guess what? They got an ice cream. You can tell the kids are really enjoying it. There's reason we put this picture there because I love that kid and very fun with the ice cream. And the young man with the cowboy jersey, of course, got a token for being respectful, responsible, and safe. So, we're doing everything we can to, in the schools, they're doing everything they can to entice the kids to come to school, make it enjoyable, have a great time. If you get those smiles from the student, they're going to come back, and that's what we're shooting for. So at Harold, on the left, I think they're holding toys that Dr. Savino put in the treasure chest. And those are the toys we gave out last couple of weeks ago. They're in the treasure chest, and if whatever she decides, they go and get a toy from the treasure chest. I love it. I think I never got to do that, so they can tell the kids are enjoying it. On the right side, of course, an incentive, an ice cream incentive. They're inexpensive. Hopefully, what I'm going to do, I'll come up with someone to spend on ice cream, but it has to be really meaningful, and the kids enjoy it. They have a great time, and it's a good way to just connect with the students and in a less pressure way. So. We did have some pictures from Gillette. They did have some raffles. CIS has been really imperative in helping us have incentives at Gillette and Education King. They are having a raffle. They raffled off a TV, a stereo system, popcorn, and they have some juice boxes. And but I think I need to tell everybody here that CIS has done a great job. The parent liaison, Margie Galendo, the attendance clerks, and like I said, it's a lot of pressure. When we're calling them and going, what happened today? Why are you guys at 91, 92%? Like, sir, well, stomach bug, we send it to look at home, and you're hoping for that perfect day where you can be at 98, all the time. That's what we're fighting for. Again, we do have some elementary going to court. Hopefully that spreads and puts a little pressure on parents wanting. They're serious. But the most important thing is to get the kids to school, and that's our main goal. And hopefully we'll keep moving in that direction. Any questions?
No, I appreciate the information. Last year's numbers compared to this year's numbers. A couple of judges on there that we know personally is Judge Gonzalez and Varela, and they did say that they would work with us and do what they could to keep our kids in school. But at the same time, there's some consequences. So just keep it up, shake them bushes.
Thank you. I don't want to get anybody excited, but I did officially invite Judge Lee to hold court on the 29th hearing. Okay, so I'm hoping, I'm hoping, the professional might get back at me, but I did send him an email officially inviting him that I met with Dr. Williams, and she was okay with it, and Dr. Pettis is okay, and hopefully that can happen. If not soon, we can have court at the HMK.
Mr. Gonzalez, you're our expert, and I'm certainly no expert in this, so I'm not beating up on you, but I need you to help me, educate me a bit. you and the attendance clerk and the principals know this much better than I do. At the high school, we've got 929 kids, 10% absent, that's like 93 kids. How much of that is legitimate stomach flu? What's your chronic number, do you think? What's the number of just repeaters, and maybe the principals or the attendance clerks know the answer to this better than I do.
Dr. Williams, would you like to come up?
To answer that question, Mr. Cooper, we acknowledge that our problems are freshmen. That's our highest number. We're averaging 40 to 50 freshmen a day, 35, 40, 50. I think today we had 45, 50. We have filed on 26 freshmen. We have, our freshman class is 278.
Why do you think, why the freshman?
Well, it comes from last year. Last year, the 8th grade class was tough.
Gotcha.
It was tough. We implemented new things, and they were kind of pushing back a little bit, and it's kind of carrying over. But again, we made strides. We filed on 29 freshmen. And like I said, it's not, I'm not trying to be punitive with them, but at least, the judge can go, hey, give you one chance. I am going to do a contempt of court. I've spoken to Dr. Williams on probably 2-3 kids that have continued, their ways. And but again, that's what we're seeing. We need to address the freshmen.
Yes, good afternoon, sorry, just before. We have talked about our freshman class and, in speaking to Mrs. Williams, these are the same group of kids who gave them, issues last year in attendance. And I don't think that they truly understand that credits start now. And we have had grade level meetings. We are setting up some more grade level meetings with the parents to come in. So we can explain to the students and the parents, this is serious business. Your students have to be in school, not only come to school, they need to go to class on time and do your work. The last couple of weeks, we were dealing with, from the notes I saw, flu, COVID, stomach bug, and strep. Those were the top 4 for the last couple of weeks. But we do have an issue with our freshman students, and we are doing a regular roundups. We have our teachers who are on their conference periods. They spend like the first 5 to 7 minutes in the hallway helping us round up kids. We are doing the phone calls, home visits. We are doing everything that we can possibly do to help the students. But at some point, the students and the parents have to work with this as well.
No, I applaud your efforts. I really do. I know this is tough, and that you've got a handful that you're probably chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing. But I'm convinced that if the judges will work with us, we can get some these parents' attention, and hopefully make some strides in this regard. And last year was, I guess, the first year we really gotten kind of cracked down on this, and I think just the consistency and the constant sticking to the program and keeping up with it is going to see some relief. And it's important for the school district from an ADA standpoint, but the more important thing is that kids aren't learning anything; they're not there. So thank you for your efforts.
They've also divided groups, right? Like 5 students for an adult. Yes, all of us, the counselors, the administrators, the teachers, we all have a group of kids that we focus on. And if you come in H.M. King, you'll hear me, security guards, even the kids have now started saying walk and talk, because for some reason, they don't feel like they can walk and talk. They stop and talk. And I'm like, oh, y'all can talk, but walk and talk. So now you hear it in the hallways. I heard a kid today say, yeah, I'm just doing walk and talk. So it's working.
It's gonna take some time, but it is working, and it is a team effort. It takes everybody.
Thank you.
I had a specific question for students who maybe are done with CARES or have dropped out basically. Are we providing any services? Are you still, are we trying to recover them at all, even after they left CARES?
That would be, no, a Ms. Odie question on that one, but, I speak to Ms. Odie. And sometimes the young men or the young ladies are going through difficult times. Usually at this time, they're 18, 19, 20. And they really don't want to have conversations and because they've been blocked off. I can't take anybody 19 to court. So, you know, the judge, you just can't, you know, you can't take a 19-year-old to court. So everything we do is communication and trying to keep them there and coax them and give them rides. We picked up this, whatever, give us a call, we be in the liaison and go give them rides like she will do rides. So we're trying to do everything we can to keep them there. But that's as far as we can go sometimes, but again, the court system's not gonna take 19. But talking to them, giving them, we've taken toiletries to the new parents. We've taken toiletries, food from the food pantry, so it's important, of course, to have the food pantry built. But we do everything we can to keep them there.
And I will tell you that Ed Care, the cohort that we does attend very diligently because we make sure not only do the teachers check them first thing in the morning, but I call. And I call if there's a parent involved, I call the parent, I call the grandparent, call transportation, call whomever I need to get them there. So the truancy issue doesn't happen there because we get them there one way or the other. But the cohort, you know, this is the cohort now. We go every 6 weeks to HMC High School and we pick up another cohort and we deal with their truancy issues also there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and last but not least, we're gonna have Dr. Farah. We're gonna do an update on CNI. It's been maybe 3 weeks, I think. Well, maybe 4 weeks since the last update. We're trying to give you an update every month. This one is mainly focusing on reading because we're looking at the spiraling of those skills and we're gonna have a benchmark right after Thanksgiving. So that information is forthcoming as well.
Good evening, board members, President Kupal and Dr. Perez. I am gonna share with you our English language arts data. So we're gonna start with our elementary campuses. So across the board in 3rd grade, we are seeing some gains from the first skills check to the second. Now the genre may be different, but the TEKS are very similar for us to show spiraling because the new TEKS test across genres. So it's not, the TEKS aren't specific to a nonfiction text or a poem. So whatever genre the teachers are teaching, the TEKS move across those. In 4th grade, we are seeing some gains in approaches, but our means and masters went down just a little bit. And with 5th grade overall, the skills check went down. When we break it down by campus, AD Harvey is showing gains in 3rd, 4th, and their 5th grade was relatively the same across English language arts. Now we are working on those means and masters students. At Perez, basically their data stayed about the same from one skills check to the other in 3rd grade and in 4th grade, and then in 5th grade, they did go down just a tiny bit. As we look at Harold, again, their 3rd grade is doing well, it's increasing. Their 4th grade remained approximately the same. Their 5th grade went down just a little bit as well. Gillette Middle School, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Again, we're looking at the genre, but the TEKS remain the same despite the genre that they're teaching. So in 6th grade, it was relatively the same except for in that means and masters area. 7th grade, again, relatively the same. Their masters was actually very well. very good, they stayed the same. And then in eighth grade, we're seeing some gains across the board, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the small group that Ms. Perkins is an eighth grade teacher, and she works with the majority of the eighth grade students. And that small group really does have a huge impact. The English 1 data went down just a little bit, but again, we're training new staff in English 1. Brand new teacher to the grade level and to teaching. And so Ms. Golding is gonna be coaching and mentoring her, sitting and planning with that teacher, and providing additional supports. And then our English 2 data went down just a little bit in the needs and the masters as well. So that is all of the data that we have. I do want to let you know that we have completed 3 make and takes for K through 2 students. We did some walks with Dr. Woodruff, and we looked at the small group activities that students were doing, so the teacher could pull the students and provide that small group or even one-to-one support during their reading walk. And so they spent the last few days creating some make and take activities that they can take back and actually implement right away in their stations, so they can start pulling those small groups. So we're really excited about that as well. Any questions?
So the third skills checks, of course, is gonna have more content and some new content that you all added in addition to some of the spiraling. But those, like English 1, we have almost all new staff members, right? All new teachers except 1.
Yes, that's correct.
And so having to train, we're doing a lot of training, intense training to try to get what we need. But I noticed that the middle school, we do have some teachers that have caught on to the small group, the concept of the type of guided reading, small groups they're implementing that more with fidelity. And we're gonna utilize them for models, for exemplars. Kind of like the way we're showcasing our students here, we need to start showing many of the experts and what they're doing, because sometimes the visual is better than us going in and just kind of letting them know what to do. The
Well,
visuals need help.
That's correct, and I will say within the last month, I mean, Ms. Perkins, we had our professional development, we talked with her, and she was like, oh, and she did it. And within 4 weeks, she had a system now from the PD time till today, and she had a system in place. She worked with the students on what to do. The other thing is, we're working with our 3rd through 5th as well on what small groups should look like. And they have 2 opportunities. So every K through 5 have a 2.5 hour reading block, and an hour of that should be uninterrupted station time where they're pulling guided reading. And that is one of the things that we really talked to our K through 2 teachers about, making sure that that block was uninterrupted. We have a consultant that comes in and works with the teachers on the stations, the setup. Everybody has a system. We told them it doesn't have to look the same, but it does. You do need to have a system in place. And we provide support and coaching with that. Actually, Ms. Garza, Sada Garza, and Ms. Golding and Ms. Martha Mendoza have done a really good job of providing support alongside with Ms. Kaminsky, who's our.
How do these scores compare to last year's?
I did not check last year's because we weren't doing consistent skills checks. And so I didn't think that it would be a fair comparison, so to speak. But once we do have our benchmark, we will be able to have additional data points for that. But as far as the skill checks, it's somewhat new this year where we're really every 3 weeks targeting the T. So we're not really comparing last year to this year. But we are trying to look at growth, and the teachers do use this data to, okay, I taught these TEKs, and then they'll look at them and say, okay, I might need to pull these kids for a small group, or this might be a whole class reteach depending on how many of the students missed a particular standard as well. Because it may look different across the genre, so they might have to go back and look at their TEKs and see how how it should look within that genre.
So when we're going across here, we're saying
a 1.1 skills check, a 1.2 skills check, and a 2.1 skills check.
That's correct.
What are they?
It's-
the same skill, correct?
Some of them are the same skills within the, just a different genre. And then some of them are new skills that they've taught based on their pacing, but majority of them are recursive, especially with English language arts.
So we're going down from when we first checked 1.1 until we get to 2.1, we're going down.
Only in some grade levels, and it could just be, I mean, there are multiple factors. Students might have been absent, it might have been the way the question was worded. And those are things with the principals meet with the teachers and they look and review the test, can look at and say, oh, that's why the student might have missed it. We're also sending these out to our teachers so that they can review them. Just to give it the
Content, but they are adding new content.
right.
Yes, it's not the same.
Some are new, some are recursive teaks for reading language arts.
What is this skill check?
It's a short 8 to 12 question assessment over either teaks that they previously missed and or new teaks that they introduced.
Are they done on a tablet or online?
They are done online in the STAR format.
Some of them are, the learning, like say, for instance, Harold, fifth grade. On the meets, it was 65 to 69 to 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, and so we have to go in, that's the whole reason for doing these, is so the principal can see them. Have those conversations with those teachers and dig in and find out, okay, so what happened here?
That's
What was the reason that would have dropped so much in the meets level? And how many students were they? I mean, I know Harold has a much smaller group, but still, how many students, you could have 4 students, 1 student's out, and that affects it more than if you have 20 students and, so that's where we have to use this information. That's the whole reason we're doing it, is we want to make sure we're keeping a pulse on it before it gets too late. The benchmark that we're gonna do after the holidays, that is more of a way where we can see, okay, how did they do last year on the benchmark and how are they doing this year? These we're doing a lot more often. Last year we didn't do that. We didn't do them every 3, weeks. We're doing them much more often this year, so that way we can kind of keep an eye on. And if we see in this meets level, let's say the meets level again drops like next time, okay. You need to really go in even deeper to find out why would that be happening. So it's just a variety of, that's we have to use this for learning, for our own learning, to see where do we need to meet the students.
And we've been completing walks as well. So we're looking at the rigor of questions that are asked in the classroom as opposed to the rigor of the questions that are asked on these assessments. And then we're providing professional development or support. So the coaches will go in and work with the teachers on how are we asking our text-dependent questions to make sure that they are at a higher level or a higher standard.
I don't think I want to leave with a negative taste.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of celebrations.
There's a lot, there is a lot to celebrate here, because you gotta understand is that we've had teacher turnover, not only here, but everywhere.
Right.
Okay, so, yeah, we see that, okay, we can digest that and, dissect it as much as you want. But still, we need to leave with a positive and tell the principals and the teachers, thank you, first of all, for the work that you're doing. And is there some work that needs to be done? That's all. So good job, teachers and principals.
There are several celebrations I see in 3rd grade, 46 to 60. I mean, there's some good spikes, but yeah, the areas that are not, we've got to, and I appreciate them being transparent. We're not trying to hide anything. And we're addressing it every day like this.
But if I may, just wanted to add, 2 really important things. Number one, last year was the first time that all of our students tested online. Right, so what this skills check is also doing is getting our students more accustomed to taking all these skills checks online, on their tablets, on their devices. Secondly, I want to also remind, or just remind everyone here that all of our students that are in inclusive settings, so even our special populations are also tested on the same test. Yeah. So our teachers have to ensure that they have the accommodations and the modifications in place for those students that are doing the online testing. So this information gives us great knowledge of how to assess where the students are individually. And so therefore we can visit with our principals and visit with teachers. I recently went into, I think, a PD last month, and I heard a Harvard teacher say, as soon as I got it, I said, oh my goodness, my students need to go back and I need to reteach this piece. So I was really excited to hear them discussing together that they are looking at the data and they know who the students are by name, and they're having to really go back and reteach those two pieces. So I do believe those two important variables need to be mentioned.
We're not giving them easy questions. We're sticking to the rigor. So, again, I appreciate that. There's a lot of successes. Principals, please do not leave feeling anything other than we recognize your hard work and the teachers.
You know, this is a tool that y'all came up with, and I really applaud the fact that you're bringing this to us and that we're seeing this pretty frequently. And I'm hoping that we can evaluate it as you go along as to what's effective for y'all and what's effective for the teachers, and what's effective for the principals. I'm happy to know that it's short, 8 to 10 questions. I mean, I hate to think that once a week we're spending a whole period on something like this, because then obviously you don't have time to test. And so I just, you know, I look forward to the way that y'all continue to develop this and use it as a tool, because it's a tool for y'all. Thank you.
How immediate is the feedback after walkthroughs? Is it that same day during conference periods, the next day?
So our coaches that go in and do walks, we have a Google Doc that automatically sends the teachers the positive feedback. And then if it's something that we need to provide additional supports, then they'll go in and meet with them. Sometimes we'll do side-by-side coaching. For instance, I was doing a walk in a class and the students weren't understanding a particular concept. So I asked the teacher, hey, do you mind if I ask a question? And she was like, no. And so I just jumped in and we just kind of co-taught together. And so that's another way of doing some coaching. So we did some side-by-side coaching. And so that's immediate feedback there as well. So with us, with our coaching team, it's in a Google, it's already pre-formatted, it's sent out, and then all our team receives feedback. And then we're able to move forward as well for the coaching piece of it. And then principals are doing walks as well and providing feedback.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 6B, Dr. Pettis, is that all of the superintendent update? We'll move to item 6B, which is the budget recap report check register for October 2023. This can be found on page 16 to 23 of our packet. Dr. Pettis.
Thank you, Mr. Kupal, Dr. Pettis, members of the board. If you look at the top of the check register, you see a couple of expenditures for W3 Powered and Great South Texas Corporation that are annual expenditures for district cybersecurity, firewall, antivirus, and server disaster and recovery. The other one you see up there that is school comp for workers' compensation. That we have a self-funded workers' compensation plan, just like a health plan, and we pay every month workers' compensation claims, but once a year, we also pay about $40,000 for annual stop loss as well too. I'll take any other questions that you have on the rest of the check register.
Any specific questions? If not, thank you, Dr. Pitts. We move now to item 6C, which is the intruder detection audit report. This can be found on pages 24 to 32 of our packet. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Kupo. Dr. Bennett, Board of Trustees. I want to present you today, the intruder audit that was done at Gillette, Middle School back on September the 27th, 2023. The Texas School Safety Center, in collaboration with the Education Service Center, conducted an intruder audit at Gillette Middle School on the 27th of September. The auditor attempted to enter Gillette Middle School unannounced. The auditor immediately identified himself as the auditor. The staff member directed the front office to follow our check-in procedures that we got at the campus. And the auditor was then escorted to check the school to ensure that we were in compliance. While they're doing the audit, there's 3 phases that they're looking at. One is, can they get to the school without being detected or without having to get someone to escort them in? Phase 2 is they check the exterior door to make sure that there's no issue with those exterior doors or that they're remaining locked. Phase 3 is classroom door audits, or those door locks being, or the classroom doors locked at all times. And the last one is weekly exterior door sweeps. They look at our log books to verify whether we're keeping and doing our weekly sweeps. So let me go back to this real quick. Phase 1, the intruder audit, they were unable to access the building on their own. Again, they were escorted to the front, did all the check-in. The exterior door audit, we did have 3 findings for the exterior door audits. And I will give you more information about the specific doors, the issues that we dealt with regarding those doors in closed session, but we did have 3 findings and we are required, by law to make sure that we present that in an open session such as this, to make sure the public is aware of the fact that we did have findings. But specific will be discussed in the doors. Phase 3, we were good because we don't have a specific policy that requires doors to be locked. We do have an expectation, but it's not written in policy. We passed, and again, we passed the weekly exterior door sweeps. When they looked at our records, they were fine and happy with the sweeps that are conducted weekly. So as a result of the findings, the district is required to take the audit to the Safety and Security Committee. We've done that already. That was done on October the 15th. And we've presented our findings and our plan of action, how to solve that issue. An in-person training was conducted at Gillette Middle School with all staff and substitutes regarding the issues and asking them for any feedback on how we could do a better job of making sure those doors stay secure. That meeting was done on October the 4th, there at Gillette Middle School. The School Safety and Security Committee must also develop a plan of action. That was developed the day of the audit on September 27th. And I will share that with you as part of your packet, and we'll discuss a little more in detail behind closed session. And the last thing we have to do is we have to make sure that we provide this audit to the board in open session and make sure that you guys are aware, of the public aware of the fact that we did have the findings and the action that we've taken to correct the findings that were identified in the actual audit that was conducted. Once we have done this, we've got 45 days to submit our corrective action plan to the TA to make sure they have the documents of that, and we follow the 4 steps that were required as part of the corrective action. Once we present this board to the board today, Mr. Segovia and I will review the documents and submit them tomorrow to make sure that we're in compliance. The deadline to submit is November the 26th, Mr. Segovia. So we'll be within the time frame of submission, but we wanted to wait till we got the board's input and the presentation was made to the board. And we have to submit the supporting documents of the board agenda, the sign-in sheets at the campus, the corrective action, all that will be part of the submission that we will be submitting. So again, we got 45 days from the day the report was given to us. That gives us November 26th, and again, we'll have that submitted hopefully by tomorrow, no later than Thursday. We're into no issue in submit.
And they were not able to access anywhere in Gillette.
That's correct. They were unable to get in.
None of the doors were unlocked, they were all locked, there were just some issues that we wanna go over. That, again, have been corrected, but, definitely wanna go over the specifics on the areas that were identified as part of the audit.
And since then, they've done Harold and they've done Harvey,
Harvey,
and those have been 100%.
100% correct, we passed the audit on both of those, we're anticipating. H and King being hit again, possibly the end of this month, if not early December, and then we got Harold and Mitchell that, we're ready for. Harold, did it yet?
Harold,
We need Pettis.
no findings.
We need Pettis and Harvey. So
Harvey, no findings.
Pettis and H we still need, so we anticipate those to get hit the same day because they're close proximity. But we're ready, the things that we found as part of this, additional audit, were, it definitely helped to put better procedures in place to make sure we don't have repeats of that, because, with all the doors we have in the district, it's very easy for a door to break and not be identified, for days. So we definitely want to make sure we monitor those on a daily basis and address any specific, breach, on it or breakage on any of the doors that we might have in the district. So our policy is pretty sound. Any questions?
I have a question, Dr. Sharma. Gillette is our only school that does not have a complete fence around it, right?
Gillette does not have a complete fence around the majority of the doors, correct? We do have a fence, a bid. I don't know, Dr. Best, you want to announce the good news?
You may have the glory.
We did apply, Dr. Pitts and Mr. Segovia, were given a task, by Dr. Perez, asked us to check a grant out, and we applied for it. We were notified last Friday that we were awarded the grant. The grant is $883,000, somewhere around there, $87,000 to be used for about a year and a half to use it, to fortify our campuses, to buy, cameras for the exterior entrances, to film our windows, fencing, panic alert. So there's a slew of things we can use that money for, so it's definitely gonna help us make our campuses safer, so we're excited about that. So that is one of these, Mr. Something that we are getting ready to get done. We were just waiting for this grant to come through, we're very fortunate to have got that, so yeah, Gillette will be getting the fence around that backside. Specifically, so the kids can go out there during the school day, use the field and not be in harm's way.
So I imagine after we get the fence on, it will be secure even more, especially with the audits, because correct, it's limited in what doors they can try to open, right?
Yeah, yes, correct. There's specific things that this grant allows them to use the money for. One of the things that we will look at the needs or whether we need to expand the height of our fence at H and King. To make it even more impregnable, we definitely want to make sure that our kids are safe. And then by extending the fence, it makes those exterior doors, not considered exterior doors. So we definitely want to look at that and see if this grant can cover that cost. We definitely want to consider that as a possible addition to the H and King campus.
Thank you.
Great work on that grant. Thank you. Yes.
Our team, they put together and we were excited about the fact that we got that.
But when you do have these auditors that visit the campuses, do they walk the campus principals, or who, does somebody go with them, or is it just something they get?
Our security goes with them.
Security.
To address any concerns that they bring to our attention, so we're able to address them immediately. But the visits that they come, Mr. Reese, they're unannounced. We know a time frame, but we don't know when. We know like a week. But so at any time, a door can damage that we may not be aware of, that may just be broken when a kid passed through it, minutes before or hours before. So it's definitely one of those things that, you gotta be ready for. But the procedures we put in place, we think have really strengthened up, the exterior door process of make sure that they're maintained and repaired when we find that there is an issue with them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandoval. We move now to item number 7, which is new business. Item 7A, By common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action item the following. One, approval of the special board minutes of October 24, 2023. Two, approval of the special board meeting minutes of November 7, 2023. C, approval of monthly financial reports for July, August of 2023. D, approval of monthly investment report for July and August of 2023. And E, approval of waiver for transfer students for the 2023-2024 school year. Is there a motion to accept those by common consent? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Ruiz. Seconded by Ms. Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7B. Discussion and possible action regarding Coastal Bend Wellness, Kingsville ISD Memorandum of Understanding for both Too Good for Drugs, TGFD, and the Curriculum-Based Support Group. This can be found on page 59 to 80 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Kupal. I'm just going to introduce Jacqueline Gutierrez from Coastal Bend Wellness Foundation, and she's going to talk about the programs and about the MOUs.
You? Okay, well, my name is Jacqueline Gutierrez. I am the prevention coordinator for the Coastal Bend Wellness Foundation, but specifically for Project Turnaround, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So, of course, there's me and also my director, Barton Bailey, here too. We're a team of 5, so we have 2 different grant programs, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. We have one for our universal program and 2 for our indicated program. So we do service 8 different counties. Within those 8 different counties, we are covered, so that's amazing. We have come out here previously to do a suicide symposium. If you did go and attend, we were there, we did a little game, and that's part of the activities that we do within the 8 counties. So starting with Too Good for Drugs is a 10-week program that we have. It's for kinder through 12 grade. Within the community, they have healthy coping skills, peer pressure, using strategies, and effective communication. It's all in aimed to reduce the use of substance within the community, starting at a younger age. So in the first unit, we have lessons 1 through 5. This is where you're going to be learning about self-efficacy, interpersonal skills for elementary, middle, and high school. And in the unit 2, we have lessons 6 through 10. This is going to be talking about over-the-counter medications, prescription drugs, harmful substances, and what happens to the body. Of course, it is going to be allocated to the appropriate developmental state that they are in. So there's not going to be the overlap of topics or verbiage from kinder to our 12th graders. We understand that there is going to be a gap in the development, so we're going to accommodate that. So this is our fidelity model. You'll see that we have our instructors, they have 20 hours of training and 40 hours of supervision under myself or our director, Barton Bailey. We come in 1 time per week for 10 weeks. If it is acceptable, we can come in multiple times, up to 2 times a week, so that way we can get in and out of your school in a timely fashion. Again, that's if we have the availability. We are in an academic style classroom setting. There is going to be 1 teacher for about 30 students. Now it can vary, you know, if we have 18 to 36, that's perfectly fine. We have our time schedule at the bottom. So we have grades K through 3. They're going to have about a 30-minute run. We'll have 4 and 5 about 45 minutes and 50 minutes from junior high up to high school. So our method, each lesson that we have is going to be for the developer, the Mendes Foundation. Same activity, it's going to be the same lesson for all around. Each one will have either a game or an activity that corresponds with the lesson that they are learning. And then these are some outcomes that we have found with the schools that we have already, or the campuses that we have already been in.
We see that there has been more engagement inside of the classroom. We see more social emotional competence, which is great, especially with the age of social media. We'll see that they're able to manage and appropriately express their emotions within as well. And then the long term, of course, is what we're aiming to have abstinence against substance use overall. So this is just an example, and I'll talk through this very briefly. This is going to be our third grade lesson 2. So we'll start each session with about 2 to 3 questions talking about our previous session. So last one was going to be goal setting. We'll talk about what were some of the steps, what were some of the goals that we had in place. And then we'll have a short introduction of the topic that we're talking about today. So for this lesson in specific, it's going to be our STAR steps. It's going to be stop, think, act, and reflect regarding decision making. We'll be having a verbal Q&A throughout the discussion of the lesson plan that we have. And we're going to be talking about consequences. We will also have workbook participation. We do provide the workbooks, so everything is free of cost. We'll have an activity based on the lesson. So for this one, it is going to be a visual. We'll have the steps placed out visible for everybody. We'll also have a game towards the end. It's kind of a Q&A game like Jeopardy. And then we'll have the lessons presented by the teacher, her fidelity model, and we'll have a recap of this session that we did, which will be discussion, and then we'll be talking about effective communication next time. So we'll introduce that here too. So just a little recap, it is all Health and Human Service Commissions funded, so it is free, it's TPA approved, which means it's going to be another check, right? We do have free of charge again, and it's modified depending on the grade level that we have, and it enforces healthy life skills overall. Now, this is our universal, right? This is going to be the classroom setting. I like to say that we're the substitute teachers for that day. Now, we also have our CBSG, it's community-based support group. So this is where we go in, and this is going to be for the kids who need a little bit more support. Maybe they have gone to DEAP, maybe they have gone to truant support, maybe we understand that they have difficulty at home, or maybe they have just kind of been withdrawing from school. This is going to be their curriculum that they would have. So it is a little bit more one-on-one, and it is going to be more intense for them, but it is going to be a shorter amount of time. So rather than it being the 10 weeks, it is going to be only about 7 weeks, depending if that's the one that you are looking for your specific needs. So this one will be anywhere from 5 weeks to 8 weeks. We leave it up to the discretion of the campus that we are talking to and the level of difficulty that they see within the community that they have. So some of the skills that it will develop is going to be anti-substance use attitudes and intentions, coping skills, giving and receiving. Now there's a plethora of things that we are going to be going over, but those are the top 3 that we find very important within the curriculum that we serve. So each lesson that we come out is going to have an I statement affirmation. So a good example is in lesson 4, it's going to be their dreams and goals. So we'll take one of the I cans, right? So we'll take an I can statement and it'll say, I can reach this dream with XYZ, whatever it was that they had talked about in that discussion previously. And it'll be like that every time that they come in. So same fidelity model, almost verbatim. The only thing that you're going to see a little bit of the changes is going to be the intensity and delivery. There's going to be a 5 to 8 week session rather than a 10-week session. This is going to also be a small group setting rather than a larger group. And then we do have a little bit different. We just have a 5-minute change on our K through 3, but everything else is going to be just the same. So here's another example. This is going to be managing anger and feelings. It's session 2 again. This is going to be for overall. So it's going to be the same if we had seen our kinder or our high school. The only thing that's going to change is the verbiage. So it's going to be a welcome, rather than it being a universal 2 to 3 questions, this one is going to be a grouping of everybody individually. We'll start with an opening ritual. We like to call it either a sunshine and cloud or a happy and snappy. This is going to be something like highs and lows, right? So this week I wasn't looking forward to the homework, but I set time aside and I got it done and I was able to play my game. So that's something that we would kind of encourage people to share, or the youth to share within our sessions that we have.
After that, we will have, of course, the same buildable lessons that we have in place. This one is going to be talking about managing anger and feelings, understanding that everybody has them, of course, but this is how we address them. After our guided discussion, we will have our closing ritual. It'll have a little gesture with it, and it's just so that way they have the motor skills that are going to be built in addition to the verbal skills too. So same immediate and long-term proven results that we have. This one's also going to be having a little bit of media literacy too, depending if they're talking about the high school and junior high curriculum. We're going to be talking about anti-bullying. We're going to be talking about how to address at-home discomforts here and there. And that's just a long-term goal. So that way they can also advocate for themselves too. So this is a summary of both of them. HHSC funded, TA approved, free of charge, modified depending on grade level, of course. This one is going to target our indicated population specifically. We're going to be decreasing substance use in and also possible experimentation within the substance realm. And we do aim to increase awareness of behavior and consequences, especially in impulsivity and self-control too. So of course, that's not the only thing that we do. Just like I said at the beginning, we have been here for the Suicide Symposium. This was our second year, I believe. We love doing it. It's so much fun. We see a lot of youth, and then because they're going to different camps during the summer, because sometimes they're transferred into HM King or other surrounding schools, they might see us within the community. So that's always nice to see. These presentations that we're going to be talking about are in the realm of reducing ATOD or alcohol, tobacco, and other drug usage within the youth realm. So here are some goal settings, or some topics, I should say. One of them is going to be goal settings, decision making, and managing emotions. These are going to be, again, the top 3 that we are always asked to do within our community. Of course, we have a plethora of things that are up there. If there's anything that is maybe not on here, but you kind of see it in your community, give us a heads up and we can definitely make it for you. And if it's not something that we can do, of course, we refer out. Another thing we do are positive alternatives. So this is going to be just like an activity, a game. We've done a couple of like back to school bashes before, provided clear backpacks for the communities that we have gone into. We're always in Corpus on Wednesdays doing our Go Locals. Another thing that I want to throw out there is that we have a Kick Butts Day. This is an anti-tobacco themed cleanup, and we just had one. It was super successful. We're going to have another one. Here's some honorable mentions, but what I'm talking about will also be coming up in another picture. So we have a heavy presence in Odom. So we have a college fair out there. We have a proclamation in Corpus Christi in regards to Red Ribbon Week. We have our Grow Local today, or tomorrow, I should say, because on Wednesdays, is going to be our little library. So if you feel inclined to go visit us, by all means, please do so. We also have a strong presence in Fremont. So we just did a back to school bash over there with them, provided over 200 clear backpacks for them. Our middle picture on the board is going to be our April 1st community cleanup. This is that Kick Butts Day. So this is just a little representation of everything that we cleaned up. We did pick up over 3,000 cigarette butts that day, which was amazing. And that was just in Corpus. I know. If that's something that we could replicate here in Cyber, we would love to do that, of course. We also did a fall festival here in September in Fremont. It was super successful. We provided all of the attractions. So there was like a petting zoo and a bouncy house and several bouncy houses. So that's something that we would love to replicate here in the community. And that's just a little bit of what we do. Of course, we're out here for curriculum. We would love to be in all campuses. That's what I aim to do. If you have any questions or concerns, of course, I would love to answer any of them. This is how you can get in contact with me, and that QR code will get you to our social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're very active. Every post that you see, our specialists that go out into the community are the ones who are posting it. So they're creative in so many different ways. If I could shout them out, of course, I will always do that. And then here is the curriculum. If you are inclined to go and research some more, by all means, please do so. We have two good programs, and then we have Rainbow Days, which is going to be our CBSG. But if you have any questions at this time, I would love to answer those.
Mr. Dennis, it's the first time we've used, project turnaround here at KISD?
No, this is not the first time. We've been here previously prior to COVID. I was not the coordinator at that time. We had our director, Michaela, at that time, who had a very strong presence. COVID did kind of hinder that a little bit, so we're trying to rethink.
And so, if I understand correctly, it's your grade, you're focusing on is third graders right now?
No, we're focusing on K through 12. The examples that we had in the slide were just third grade.
So in particular, your drug education,
Yes.
we partnered with the KPD at all?
No, in Corpus though, we are partnered with the probation officers for Nueces County. But currently we are not in Kingsville.
I remember our fourth grade, I don't know, if those of you who are, well, I'm old, but I remember fourth grade, we had a drug education, policeman came by. And something I'll remember like the rest of my life, he turned on a marijuana cigarette in our classroom. And that was impactful. I mean, that you know, that's what marijuana smelled like. And that up until that point in my life, I didn't know what it smelled like. But you know, it was, you know, you know what it smells like.
Right.
How, and of course the message was to avoid it and just, you know, try to steer clear of it. But I think those things like that, partnering with, it was in partnership with the school district and the KPD. So I was just throwing that out there to see if you do that.
Yes, and we do have visual aids too. We have partnered up with certain programs, but a lot of the time we do provide those types of things. We do have an hidden in plain sight. We do try to save that for the staff though, because we don't want to give the youth any ideas, of course. But that is definitely something that we are able to do and we aim to do here.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Like what time during the day would you assist it? And how do you pick and choose? But is it council recommendation or?
Yes.
Recommendation?
So all of the above. Anytime that you are in campus, our, you know, work days are 8 to 5, but you know, we're able to adjust, of course, right? So it's what you're able to give us. So if you are able to get me in contact with a CIS person, a social worker, a counselor, I can talk to anybody basically. We'll talk about scheduling. I just scheduled somebody today for PECA, which is Fremont Early College Academy. And during that time, they said, okay, we're gonna come in during social studies. During that social studies, you're gonna hit K through 5, and we're gonna have in a lot of time, we have 3 specialists. So we're gonna say 3 different specialists during those time, or 3 different classes during that time slot that they're given. And we're able to see almost all of the school that time. Anybody that we are unable to see, we try to get them in a different order. Now, for our focus groups that are the smaller ones that are indicated, that's going to be the CPSG. That one, what we're aiming to do is that's going to be the frequent flyers. People who are in the office quite often, and maybe you have like a feel for if you're a counselor or a CIS person, you're like, oh, I think Sally and Jay might really benefit from this because I know that they're going through something at home. That's the target audience that we're trying to find.
So yes, we're really excited to be partnering with this extremely research-based program. They have been around, they've been in Kingsville before, to mention Odom and Fremont, but they finally came where they need to be here with us at Bremer Country. So she will be coordinating with myself and the counselors and the administrators to find time, but we will make time, non-academic time, to be able to introduce this as we partner with our counselors. As all of you are aware, under the new 80% of having our counselors working with our students, we welcome the coordination with outside agencies to also come in and be a partner with us to help primarily introduce all of these topics. You mentioned the top 3, and I'm gonna probably visit with you about a few others. With the lowest starting in kindergarten for a second, where they need to be introduced to these topics. So we are very excited to have them back here with us in Kingsville.
And I know you had talked about doing it on Freedom Fridays.
Yes, exactly, as well. So that would be
But they were very insightful at the suicide prevention seminar that we hosted.
this the last 2 years. So any other questions that you might have for me?
So the goal of the too good for drugs, that's 100% of the students.
That's my goal, yes. Now, if we can see, you know, 80%, and then we get that other 20% in a different quarter, even better, that's great.
Okay. This is for our administrators more than it is for you, because I think you've got a good program. And I'm not going to vote on that right now, because I feel we didn't ready to. But I would like to see how many programs we have signed up to have our kids be a part of. Because I'd like to know how much teaching time that we're saying yes to, because sooner or later, we've got to start prioritizing. And that's what I would like to see in this place.
You know, Mr. Gutierrez, I was in contact with Jonathan and Yolanda. I don't know if you know them, if they're still with.
Yes,
Coastal Bend
Jonathan Martinez?
Yes.
Yes, he's essentially a sister grant within youth programs.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what I want to get to, because of the fact that prevention really holds a special place with me. When we were growing up, that's who we worked with, and our director at the time had a saying. He says, "An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of success," and it's very true, and it's important that we have those services. But what I want to be I guess a witness to what I saw with Coastal Bend Wellness is that when there was a function done at Weavers of Love, maybe 2 years ago, wow, the support that Coastal Bend Wellness has. They didn't just bring laundry. I mean, they had like 15 program tables set up with different I guess messages of prevention, and then they had the pills, over medicating, just so much things that you all do. So I do agree with Mr. Glusi that I think we need to look at the schedules. But Fridays is a very positive day, so I hope we are able to work with you.
Yeah, the program on Friday is when they did this suicide prevention symposium. So kids weren't taken out of class. They did it then, it was very successful. And these community things that we do at night also, you know, set up a table, like we're gonna have holiday movie night on November 30th. You know, they can come up and set up a table. So it's nice to have a free resource like this, because academics is definitely extremely important. But if we don't take care of the other side, that can drop the child as well. So we have to balance both, and our counselors are required to do classroom sessions like 80% of the time. So they need resources like this to help them, because our counselors need that extra support as well. So thank you.
Of course, thank you. We're here to make this work. Thank you for having us.
Who funds y'all?
HHSC, so the Human Health Service Commission.
All right, board, you've heard the presentation, and we have a proposed memorandum of understanding to adopt for these two programs. Is there a motion to adopt the memorandum of understanding for both the Too Good for Drugs and the curriculum-based support group?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Garcia.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item 7G, discussion and possible action regarding National Parental Involvement Day proclamation. This can be found on page 87 to 88 of our packet. Mr. Scoggins.
Good evening, Mr. Cupo, Board President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Perez. Today I'll be reading the Parent Involvement Proclamation. Whereas the parent liaisons through the Federal Programs Department establishes informed support networks for parents, encourages parent advocacy, and promotes parental involvement in their children's education. Whereas family-school partnerships are strengthened through good communications and mutual responsibility for children's learning. Whereas research has proven repeatedly that students achieve at higher levels and are more successful when parents value education highly and are actively involved in their child's education. Whereas the parent liaisons promote student attendance, strengthen personal relationships with parents, manage the parent volunteer program, and build capacity in parent involvement meetings. Whereas this is the week for National and State Parental parent involvement celebration and pledges that recognize the importance of shared responsibility in the education of our children. Whereas the Kingsville Independent School District realizes the significance of parents, businesses, and community members as partners in education, welcomes full participation in all aspects of educational activities, and strongly encourages all parents to take an active role in the education of our children. Therefore, be it resolved that the Kingsville ISD Board of Trustees hereby proclaim November 16, 2023 as in Kingsville, Texas, and calls on all citizens and owners of the public school system to bear a responsibility to participate in joining the education of our children. An official recognition thereof, we affix our signature this 14th day of November 2023.
All right, board, you've heard the proclamation. Is there a motion to adopt? Motion made by Mr. Morales, seconded by Ms. Salinas. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. All right, item 7D. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution to not permit the district to employ or accept as a volunteer chaplain under Education Code 23. This can be found on page 89 and 90 of our packet. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Cupo. Today I'm here to present to you the Texas Legislature bill that was passed this past summer, Senate Bill 763, which gives public school districts the option to hire religiously affiliated chaplains to complement or replace some or all of their school counselors. While SB 763 gives school districts a choice as to whether they hire chaplains, the bill does require every school board to take a record vote on the matter. School boards must either affirm or reject the practice. So at this time, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution to not permit the district to employ or accept as a volunteer a chaplain under Education Code 23 to replace counselors.
Dr. Sandoval, real quick, a volunteer chaplain. You say that that would replace all our counselors?
Not necessarily, one would replace our counselors, but we're not proposing, because it's either one or the other, and we don't want to make it an option where we can start looking at the possibility of replacing our counselors. So there's not a need at this time.
But there could be a need for a chaplain for the district. I'm just asking. For anything, spiritual guidance during a tragedy or something. Huh? No, counselors are very, I would never vote against counselors. Don't get me wrong. But
I think this one is to replace counselors, so.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah, so I guess that's what we have to stick to is, do we want them to replace counselors? And at this point, we're not in a need to do that. We do have counselors.
Yes, well, it says to compliment.
This is, to me, this is a gotcha.
Yeah.
From the legislature, and when I first read this, I thought, oh, good Lord, you're gonna be punished if you do and punished if you don't.
It's not that we're against chaplains.
Yeah.
I need to pray all the
And
time.
I think that because this is so new, it just got into the session just this summer. This came into being, and I don't think we've ever had a situation where we've been approached by a chaplain and refused them. And so because they're requiring us to come down on one side or the other, if you say, okay, we're gonna let this happen, well, tomorrow morning, you probably have a counselor turn in their letter of resignation and said, the heck with this, I'm being replaced by volunteers. And if we vote against it, then it just allows us to revisit it at another time. It's a gotcha in my estimation.
Either way, because I mean, that would be the council. I mean, I'm not for it, but I don't know if the council would really feel threatened by it.
Mr. Maddox, what do you
Because
think?
one of them's not gonna be taken on the class with that for sure.
How's that?
Yes, Trustee Garcia, I think that we could perhaps capture the board's intent with some carefully crafted motion language and or to modify, excuse me, our resolution as well. If the intent is to not replace, but to still allow volunteer, again, as Mr. Kupal says, it's such a new law, I think that we could do that without any additional guidance out there saying that we can't, if that's the board's intent. Otherwise, we can go one way or the other, depending on what the board wants to do.
Yeah, and in the same session, they came up with new requirements for counselors and the amount of time that they have to spend here. And so a volunteer chaplain is qualified to replace a counselor. So again, it's somewhat of a gotcha. I like that idea. I don't think this board would be inclined to turn down any voluntary help from a chaplain, or for that matter, from almost anyone from the community. But it's got to be, consistent with what our needs and goals are. So my question would be, does this have to be adopted tonight?
No, we got a 6 month,
Okay.
from September first to I think March first.
Yeah, and we were kind of dragging our feet on it, but the surrounding districts, I think all of them have already done theirs, so we're bringing it to you all.
Is it possible that we could maybe work on the crafting of that by our, one of our December meetings?
Yes, sir, I think that's very doable. I have to make a motion to table it.
All right, there's been a motion made to table this item. Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. And thank you, Dr. Sambo. We'll be revisiting this.
Margie, is here our parent liaison. Can we recognize her?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know she was still here.
You got her?
Yeah.
Everybody clap with you, boss.
My fault. I just walked over that and moved right along. But we do want to recognize you. We want to thank you for the role that you play as a parent liaison, and we certainly like to have a picture in support of this proclamation.
Max, you wanna come up there?
Max, go ahead, Max.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, item number 8. The board will now enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.071 and 553.074 to deliberate and consider the following. 8A, consider and deliberate with legal counsel regarding legal and personnel matters. 8B, discussion regarding intruder detection audit report. And 8C, discussion regarding superintendent contract extension or renewal. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering closed session at 7:04 p.m. Now return to open session. And take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session. We are returning to an open session at 8:16 p.m. There being no discussion of possible action regarding legal personnel matters, we'll move to 9B, discussion of possible action regarding superintendent contract extension or renewal. Is there any discussion or motion that needs to be made?
I make a motion. I want to make a motion.
Ms. Salinas,
I make a motion to extend the superintendent's contract for 3 years and to institute a retention stipend of 2.5 for February and in August 2024. And it will expire in August 2024.
all right, there's been a motion made by Ms. Salinas to extend the superintendent's contract for 3 years without any salary increase at this point, but to institute a 2.5% retention stipend to be paid in February 2024 and another in August 2024, but to expire at that time. Is there a second to this motion? I'll second. I'll second the motion. The motion was made by Ms. Salinas and seconded by Mr. Glusick. Any further discussion? If not, we need a roll call vote. I will. All right, we'll have a roll call vote. Joe Morales.
Yes.
Joseph Reese.
Yes.
James Glusick.
Yes.
Martin Chapa.
Yes.
Sorry, David Garcia.
Yes.
Delma Salinas.
Yes.
And Brian Kufal votes yes. That's a 7-0 vote to approve that motion. All right, there being no further business, I'm going to declare this meeting adjourned at 8:18 p.m. Thank you all very much.